How did the modern federal income tax get imposed on the American people despite the 16th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? That is the topic I'll be answering for you tonight in a definitive, clear way by relying on what the Constitution says and what the Supreme Court has said about all of this. So, my name is Peymon Mottahedeh. I am the president of Freedom Law School, which I founded in 1996. And I've covered first half of this topic previously. If you go to our website at livefreenow.org, you see I found a lot of information there. But last week, you see actually a few weeks ago, I covered on April 17th, 2021, did the 16th Amendment in 1913 permit the creation of the U.S. income tax system? That's the 6-minute version of this video, which also links to a longer version of this video that you see right here. The full, complete presentation, which in this one is 29 minutes long. So you want to watch this presentation first if you can, because that will cover a lot of basic stuff, which I don't have the time to get into, and I don't need to get into it. Watch that presentation first, and this one will complete that. I will review a few things anyhow, just to make sure you are all clear about this. So let's go to this topic. We're going to go to the U.S. Constitution, folks, right here at constitution.congress.gov, the official source, the Constitution of the United States, as you see here, okay? We're going to go down here to Article 1, Section 8, okay? Then now here, it does say that Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, right? It does. Duties, imposts, and excises. But here's what it says. But the Constitution says that but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. Well, duties, imports, and excises are basically like tax on imports or tax on items like sugar or alcohol. Whether you bring an item from China through Miami, Port, New York, or Los Angeles, same rate applies. Whiskey tax will be same throughout the United States. That's basically what that means. Now, there's more limitations about taxation in the U.S. Constitution. Article 1, Section 9, we're going to go down, and it says this, that no capitation. Cap, folks, means capitation means head tax. Like decapitate, take your head off. Cap means head. So it means no head tax is what it's referring to. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration hereinbefore directed to be taken. Folks, that is one of the primary reasons why we have a census or counting or enumeration of the people in America, so that the tax could be laid in proportion to the population of each state and laid in that state. As you see on the video, which I covered this issue, you see right here, the first direct tax you see here on this screen, which I covered in the last video, in 1798, it shows among the states you see on the screen how much was laid individually on the people of each of those states. It was apportioned or divided up among the people of those states, as you see in this screen. Okay? So with that, folks, I'm going to go now to the next part, which is the Constitution. Also in Article 1, Section 2, says this, that representative and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers. Again, the word apportionment, okay, is key. It means to divide up, to portion, like you divide up and portion up a piece of cake. That's all it means. Divide up is what apportionment means. And you will see that word again. Okay? So that's why, again, when you look at the screen, folks, again, you see in this last video, you see how New Hampshire, Massachusetts, these states, and it lists more of them in this act. The direct taxes of 1790 was divided up a portion among the states. That's how direct taxes are supposed to be done. Divided up among the states. Now let's go now to the next thing now. Okay, here we go. Let's go to read the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment was supposed to allow, right, taxes on Americans without apportionment, because that's what it sounds like. See, the 16th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states. You see? Without apportionment. Now the part about taxes on and collect taxes on income, don't worry about that right now, that part. I know to some people that is important, but really the key part is not as much that is here, is that without apportionment among the several states. How the taxes are imposed, income tax on Americans without apportionment, I will show you in this presentation. Hang in there, my friends. But we notice here that there's no place here that gives Congress any new taxing powers to enforce this. That's a clear distinction you will see momentarily. The 16th Amendment, of course, is well known. Here's Wikipedia, says it allows Congress to levy income tax without apportioning it among the states on the basis of population, right? To levy income tax without apportioning it among the states on the basis of population. This is what the government, the IRS, claim what the 16th Amendment did. And guess what? They're lying to you. I'll show you. Hang in there, my friend, for the truth. Okay? Look at the 13th Amendment of the United States that got rid of slavery. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Bobby, notice the word their jurisdiction. It's important. This is talking about the multiple states of the Union, not the singular government of the United States of Washington, D.C., which would be subject to its jurisdiction. Now, look at this. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Well, great. They have the power to enforce it. But look at this. 16th Amendment does not have such a clause. But 13th Amendment does. How about the 14th Amendment? Right? 14th Amendment is all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to a jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Right? That's the key part, but there's more to it. But if you go down to the end of the 14th Amendment, folks, after all the stuff that it's about, multiple things are covered in there. Well, look at the ending. Section 5 says that the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Why? Because 13th and 14th Amendment both gave new powers to Congress of the United States. 16th Amendment did not do so. So therefore, it doesn't have a clause giving Congress new taxing powers. And in the previous presentation I did, folks, you want to watch that one, folks. I gave you this here, the short video about 16th Amendment, and the long one I cover in there how the 16th Amendment was ruled by U.S. Supreme Court, did not give any new taxing power to the federal government. It just It was all within the indirect tax category, which is a ridiculous thing by itself, but what the heck. It definitely did not change the direct taxing clauses of the U.S. Constitution. Okay, so now let's go to other amendments of the U.S. Constitution, like the 15th Amendment. Here we go. Again, you see the bottom section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Same thing you will see in the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Right? You see, again, the 16th Amendment does not have that language because it did not give Congress any new taxing power. See, 16th Amendment does not have that language there. Okay? Now let's go to the 18th Amendment, which outlawed alcohol. And you see, again, has a section 2, the Congress and the several states shall have concurrent power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. In this case, the states and the federal government were given power to enforce this article because it did give a new power to Congress and the several states concurrently. Again, look at the 16th Amendment. Nope. It gave Congress no new taxing power, as you see here in this case, Stanton versus Baltimore Mining Company, that it did not give Congress any new taxing power whatsoever. Now, something else interesting you notice right now. The direct taxing clause restrictions, that direct taxes must be apportioned, divided up amongst the states, is part of the Constitution still. It was never repealed. And the Supreme Court, in the Bruchaber versus Union Pacific Railroad case, which I covered in a previous presentation on 16th Amendment, and Stanton versus Baltic Mining Company, Peck versus Lowe, and other ones mentioned in there, they clearly said that it did not give Congress any new taxing power whatsoever, that in order for the government to tax directly the American people, the federal government, the parts of the Constitution that gave power, that restricted the government from having to do direct taxes by apportionment among the states, would have to be repealed. Because you cannot have one part of the Constitution says direct taxes must be apportioned, and then the other part says they don't have to be apportioned. They would be in conflict with each other. You know, you cannot have the Constitution, a document, conflict itself. So that's what the Bruchaber case clearly said. So here we are, folks. This is how it was done correctly with the alcohol prohibition by 18th Amendment, which prohibited alcohol in America. Later on came the 21st Amendment, and it properly and correctly said that the 18th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. This is what needed to happen to direct taxing clauses of the U.S. Constitution. Those parts would have had to be repealed. Just like you see this language right here, right, that says representative and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers. This part should have been repealed for the federal government to be able to tax you directly without having to apportion it among the states first, the way you see it was done in the first and the following acts in the late 1700s and early 1800s, like you see here. Okay, so watch that old video as well, folks. Okay, so this is how it should be done. So it wasn't done. So you say, well, Peymon, I don't get it. If the tax on me is obviously a direct tax, they're coming after me directly. It's not like a toll bridge I can avoid, or import I can avoid, or don't have whiskey, avoid whiskey. I cannot avoid it. It's on me directly. It's on my head. Me. How did he impose this then? It's not indirect. And direct taxes must be apportioned among the states. Huh. How did they do it then? This is what many of my good friends like Otto Skinner, Dave Champion, Pete Henningsen, Larry B. Kraft, many other wonderful people, great authors in the movement, didn't go far enough to research and see what was done. There was a devious way they got around these limitations in the U.S. Constitution. Okay? And I'll show you how. This happened because the case of Downs versus Bidwell. Okay? This was a 1901 U.S. Supreme Court case. Let me give you a background what it's about first. In 1895 Spanish-American War, America, by war conquest, got many lands from Spain. Philippines, Guam, Puerto Rico mainly. So these became territories of the United States. And these people spoke Spanish, or like in Philippines, Tagalog. They were not American, white European speaking English, whole different culture, no right to trial by jury. Those new lands and their people, who had a lot of people already within them, could not be easily, immediately incorporated into the Union like other states that spoke English, had a Western European culture. So, what happened is that a tax was imposed between these U.S. territories by the federal government. And this tax was challenged in the U.S. Supreme Court eventually. And basically, folks, these territories were an extension of Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., folks, the federal government has complete plenary control. It was given the power in the Constitution so that the federal government would be immune from pressure of the states if it was located within New York or Pennsylvania or some other state that could push their thumb on the federal government. So within Washington, D.C., and any lands given by the states to the federal government, or territories that have not become states yet, the federal government can do whatever it wants because it's not a state yet. Because America is not a country. It's 50 countries in the Union. That's why the president every year gives to Congress a State of the Union address. Not the State of the Country address, State of the Union. America's 50 states in the Union, just like a European Union with Germany, France, Italy, and a few other countries in a union together. So what happened is Down versus Bidwell case, Supreme Court in summary, well, it's a very big, long, complicated case. It was a 5 majority against 4. And there was 3 opinions that add up to the majority opinion. They're all a bunch of convoluted cockamamie. And the minority of 4 was solid together, but they were the minority 4. Here's what the Supreme Court said in Downs versus Bidwell, okay? The decision narrowly held that the Constitution does not necessarily apply to the U.S. territories. Yes. Instead, Congress has jurisdiction to create law within territories in certain circumstances, particularly those dealing with revenue, which otherwise would not be allowed by the Constitution for the U.S. states. Aha! That's the key. Particularly dealing with revenue or taxes, right? That the Constitution does not apply to the U.S. territories. So those restrictions on the U.S. federal government taxing power that we read earlier do not apply to territories. Basically, the U.S. government can impose a tax if you take something from this side of Washington, D.C., 10 miles square, to the other side of Washington, D.C., they could do a tax. Or from Puerto Rico to Guam, or Philippine Islands, which at that time was one, from Spain to America. So when that decision was vehemently disagreed by the minority because they saw the evil coming, the loophole was created to impose taxes that look like they're imposed in the 50 states, but they're actually written for the U.S. territories or Washington, D.C., that the federal government has no restriction on raising revenue. That's what, as you see here now, again, what the Downs versus Bidwell case said. The Constitution does not apply to the territories, right? Okay, particularly those dealing with revenue, which would not be allowed by the Constitution for the United States. Okay? Now, the minority gave a dissenting opinion by Justice Marshall. Okay? Okay? Now, and guess what? Here is what they said. This whole thing, you ought to read it for yourself sometime. It's fantastic, dissenting opinion, folks. But I'm just going to read a little bit of this, okay? It says that the idea prevails. The idea that the majority adopted. The majority adopted this idea that the minority condemns. Okay? That we have in this country substantially two national governments. What? Two national governments. Yes, folks. One to be maintained under the Constitution, right? With all its restrictions, like restrictions on taxing powers of the federal government, right? The other to be maintained by Congress outside and independently of that instrument, the U.S. Constitution, by exercising such powers as other nations of earth are accustomed to, which is tyrannical total power within those territories. That is what they said the majority, the federal government can do. We have two national governments practically, okay? And the minority warned that in that event, okay, we will in that event pass from the area of constitutional liberty guarded and protected by a written constitution into an area of legislative absolutism, which means the legislative Congress can do whatever it wants. Taxes can be laid directly without immediate apportionment within Washington, D.C. and Washington, D.C.'s territories. Right? Not the states, because states are sovereign countries like France, Germany, and Italy, right? And they did not give that power to the federal government to come within the states and tax them directly, except with apportionment, right? Let's continue. The court warns later on, it will be an evil day for American liberty if the theory of a government outside the supreme law of the land finds lodgment in our constitutional jurisprudence. And guess what? Yes, that evil day for American liberty has happened to American taxation system since 1913. Okay? Now, another Supreme Court case talks about United States, sometimes mean the several states, right, combined. Sometimes it means the union of the states as a whole. Sometimes it means only Washington, D.C. and territories that the federal government has total power and jurisdiction. That was in the case of the Hooven and Allison Company versus Abbott, 1945, which we go down and read that at Library of Congress. We see this language. The term United States may be used in any one of the several senses, right? It may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying a position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. The 50 states it combined, basically. But the second one is what they use in income tax laws. It may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends. Here we go. Yep, that's the second one. See, that is the United States that the Internal Revenue talks about. The Internal Revenue Code, the federal tax laws. Here's one of my copies I have. They don't publish them anymore on paper, by the way. Okay? This is the entire federal tax laws. Income tax of America are right in here. Okay? Let's go look it up online right now. We look up online. Okay, we're going to go to the official source of the law, Office of the Law Revision Council, United States Code, from U.S. House of Representatives. You see the seal on the top left of the page, okay? This is published by the U.S. government, by the Congress, so we all can follow law correctly, including the IRS, right? So to look up laws, all you got to do, folks, is like me, type in 26 space USC, which means Category 26 of Federal Laws. United States Code is abbreviated USC, space, and then put the code section, like R1 section 7701 in this case, and then space house.gov will give you the official version from the House of Representatives. And here it is for me down here. There it is, answer here. I'm going to open it up in a new tab, and just like me, you can reproduce, folks. Just like me, you can do this on your own personal computer or smartphone. Try it. So here we got from Title 26 Internal Revenue Code, we got Chapter 79 definitions. Very key definitions. And as we go down and look at Section 701, it says, when used in this title, what title? Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code. Okay, and they define all kind of different terms, person, all kind of stuff that you don't think they need defining at all because they seem pretty obvious. But look, they define pages and pages of different terms, including United States and state. Look at the term United States when it says when used in a geographical sense, because that's what we are looking for, it includes only the states and the District of Columbia. Why did they bother mentioning the District of Columbia but not name the continental United States or the 50 states? Because again, the term state also it says it shall be construed to include, again, the District of Columbia. Right? Well, where's the 50 states in here? Right? Because United States means basically the District of Columbia plus, again, the District of Columbia. So it means the District of Columbia. This is the United States. The Downs versus Bidwell case talked about. That laid the law within U.S. territories. In fact, I'm going to show you, look at this, folks, way back in 1913. I'm sorry, here we go. I'll show you later on. Here we go. Where is this one? In one of our videos that we have. Okay. Oh, by the way, here it is. Look at this, by the way. In many different tax laws, Section 6103, they mention a term 50 states. It's right here. And the District of Columbia in a definition of the word state. These definitions are very important and critical. Okay? So I'm going to go now take you to our website to further show a little bit more videos you want to see, because I cannot put it all in here. I'm going to refer to these other videos to clarify this thing, because you're thinking, oh, Peymon, states obviously mean the 50 states. It's clearly implied. Wrong. Don't believe me? Just watch these videos, and this is how you get to it, okay? Go to our front page of Freedom Law School. Okay, by the way, we already got one strike by YouTube, okay? Because we talked about, the election stuff. So you want to, folks, get on our email list so you'll be in touch with us, okay, before they cut us off on high tech. And to do that, go to our front page of our website, and here at the bottom part, sign up to get your free Freedom Education package mailed and emailed to you. You receive a bunch of free material by email and mail. And to get started, on the right side, fill out the information here, and at the bottom, click on the gold button. Yes, I want free Freedom Education, and then we'll be in touch from there together. Now, at the front page, to get to our YouTube channel, go to the Freedom Hour at the top, click on the Freedom Hour, and that gets you to our Freedom Hour page. Here, click on our YouTube link right here. You see in the blue, click on that, and that takes you to our YouTube channel. From there, folks, you want to go to our playlist on the top center, playlist, and that takes you again to our playlist page. And the ones you want to see are all here. These playlists put the best of the best of Freedom Law School that you want to see in an organized, make sense way for you. So use these playlists to educate yourself. So the ones you want to look, folks, is here. The one that says that, where is it? Here we go. The second to last. Most Americans do not owe income taxes, short videos. Okay? So you click on this list, and when you do that, it takes you right here to not only this first video, which is also on the front page of our website. You can see also that video on the front page of our website right here. You can get to that video this way as well. Okay? However, on the right side, you see a playlist of other short videos about 5-6 minutes each. And then most of these videos link to longer videos. Here's one that's called More Proof That United States of Income Tax Law Only Includes Washington, D.C. Here's a short video on that topic. Here's a very important one. Yes, you definitely want to look up this one. Look at the screen here. Okay, since 1913, the U.S. federal income tax law never applied to the 50 states of the Union. This is a short video. And you see it right here in this 1913 Act is right here in front of you, that the term states of the United States at that time, look at that. It meant Alaska, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the Philippine Islands. Yes. Later on, they took out all these lands and became only Washington, D.C. Watch that short video, and they will take you these short videos to longer videos in more detail as well. If you go to our playlist on the, here you see it, most Americans do not owe income taxes, full videos. So open that list, and when you do, it takes you right here. Who is required to file IRS 1040 forms and pay U.S. income taxes? Full 54 minutes. This is longer. This is where your questions are answered in more complete detail. The short ones will give you a great overview and they do the job 98%, but the details you want to know is in the long videos. That will finish the job for you. Okay? So watch the short ones, videos, and then the long ones for more detailed, full understanding. Okay? So that is what you want to do, folks, to get clarity on this issue. As remember, go to the front page of my website, folks, and start right there on the front page. This is a short video there. Will take you there. The front page of our website, folks, has many of the key stuff you want and need to know right there for you to link to for more education, understanding, and support. Also, you have an opportunity to refer people to Freedom Law School and get paid when you help them free themselves or income tax slavery, okay, lawfully and safely by referring them to Freedom Law School. So with that, folks, remember our website, livefreenow.org, and our videos and our website are full of information to help you be free. Now, let me ask you one more thing. You owe it to yourself to continue on this journey to freedom. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first step. You have taken the first steps by watching this presentation. Continue. Continue on our website, folks, and you will be free. You will free yourself. Freedom Law School is only a tool, your assistance, your support to educate you, but really, you are the one that has to make a decision to free yourselves, my friends. So do that. At the same time, folks, give other people, Americans, your family, friends, and co-workers, people in your community, on your social media, on your Facebook page, everywhere, give them the opportunity to free themselves of the deception of the income tax, of the slavery and robbery of income tax by giving them this information. This is your First Amendment guaranteed right, just like I'm doing, to share this information with other freedom lovers, seekers in America, to help them be free and to put a stop to this criminality of the deep state government renegades in the IRS management and the U.S. Department of Injustice management and many corrupt federal judges who are combined together to protect and preserve this fraudulent, deceptive system of slavery to promote socialism and communism in America to reduce you lower. Okay, so don't let that happen to you. It already happened. Okay, you can stop it and take the chains of slavery off. It's really easy. It's not as hard as you think. You know, you're uncomfortable saying, "Ooh, I fought for decades. Ooh, I'm going to stop being a slave. Ooh, I'm not sure. I've done this for decades." Well, maybe. So stop. Just take the chains of slavery off. The tools are there for you at our website at livefreenow.org, folks. Here it is again. Go back to our screen. Here they are, folks. Start your process on Educational Materials tab, Income Tax Freedom, folks. And I hope that we can get rid of, together of this fraud on the American people and have America be a free country once again, like it was meant to be, and we shall make it again.